Chapter 27. The day of Mrs. Canby's operation had arrived. They will be doing a complete mastectomy as the cancer was very advanced. She had phoned and begged to see the children before she was operated on. She really feared not living through the operation. Mr. Canby managed to organise this around his work shifts, but he dreaded bringing all the children with him on the bus to the hospital. They were just too much to control. He dashed home from work to find Pinky struggling to get Abe ready. Pinky herself wasn't ready and she cried quietly. She wanted her mum to do her plaits. Mr. Canby could only shout and plead with her, and eventually they were at the hospital. Their mother was pale and sleepy when they finally arrived at her bedside. The kids were silent. They had never seen her in bed. She was always up before them and in bed after them. Pinky looked at her mother, looking so small and frail, and couldn't help but cry again, which started them all off. Not one of them had a handkerchief to blow their noses on, except for Pinky's dad, and he was the only one who didn't cry. Inside, though, his heart was breaking. His wife, his loyal wife, could be on the verge of leaving him. How would he cope? His mind was racing. The crying, wailing, sobbing, and sniffing not only stirred up Pinky's mum, but also the unwanted attention of the nursing staff. The staff nurse shooed the kids into the TV lounge, and she gave them each a small chocolate, which they all at first refused, until Pinky took charge and told the others they were allowed to have it. The visit was cut short as it was time for their mother to go into surgery. She wouldn't be out for several hours, so Mr. Canby took his distraught family home. Even Addie appreciated the seriousness of their mother's condition now, and in their small flat, his father laid out their prayer mats, and they all bowed down to ask for their mum to be home safe and well. The following day, Mrs. Canby woke after her surgery, feeling confused and alone. Her last thought before she went to sleep had been about her village, and now she'd regained consciousness. Memories flooded back of a young, carefree girl she had once been. Thoughts she tried to forget, pushed forward and plagued her heart. She realised that, like her mother and her grandmother, she was married too young, always worked too hard, and never had time to enjoy life and her family. She finally understood that she had her entire youth taken away from her. As the morning went on, Mrs. Canby became more and more distressed and lay there sobbing. The nurse couldn't understand anything Mrs. Canby was muttering and gave up trying. It was only when Dr. Begum arrived that anyone was able to help and comfort her. "Dear Mrs. Canby, please don't stress yourself so much. This is not going to help your condition." But inconsolable, she continued to cry, trying to hide her face in her pillow. Dr. Begum sat on Mrs. Canby's bed, held her hand and patted it. "Things will be okay. You just concentrate on keeping yourself calm." Surprised at her affection and persistence, Mrs. Canby turned to Dr. Begum. Mrs. Canby's eyes were red and swollen and looked up at the kind doctor's face with a helplessness Dr. Begum often witnessed. "What will I do? Who will look after my children if I die? My husband, he cannot manage alone. My poor sister died so young. And my mama, I lost her so early too. And now it's my turn to die. This cancer is going to kill me, isn't it? The same way it killed them. And what is the point of such a short, hard life?" she asked. Dr. Begum was confused by the change in the conversation, but she kept quiet and simply listened. "I got married when I was too young. I had to work hard, but my mother-in-law would still beat me because she said I worked too slow. But I'd grown up poor and had always done what I was told, without question, without thinking there could be another way. Now I've done the same to my own daughters. I'll never see Anna again, and I know she's beaten like I was. And Abby, poor Abby, she knew differently. She was happy. And now we have left her behind in the village to marry. She has seen a different life to the one I knew. She has grown up here, and so wants to be like her friends. I'd hoped if we got her married young, she would resign herself to her fate, but in my heart, I know she won't give in. I made Abby work even harder in order to teach her, so she wouldn't be beaten like Anna and me. But all I've done is made her angrier, bolder, and more determined. What have I done? Forcing my poor daughters into this kind of life, where they can never be happy and will die young. I want my girls home, but it's too late. It's all too late. Mrs. Canby sob took over, and she barely heard Dr. Begum's reassurances. I'm sure something will be possible. As far as your health is concerned, we are treating the cancer aggressively, and there is a good chance you will make a full recovery. Don't give up hope yet, Mrs. Canby. Please don't give up. I promise I'll do something.